Nammo Phat. Thank you for joining me for today's daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The fourth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I vow to cultivate loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and to relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm determined to speak truthfully, with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news that I do not know to be certain, and will not criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause the family or the community to break. I am determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. Today we're beginning the section on the 4 bases of clinging from Ajahn Sucitta's book, Kamma and the End of Kamma. The Buddha spoke of clinging as having 4 successively deeper levels: clinging to sense objects, to rules and customs, to views, and to impressions of what we are. The first is fairly obvious, and hanging on to possessions and also feeding on sight, sounds, and the rest of it. In the monastery, with the limitation on sensual input, and with a good amount of physical work going on, most of this intensity would gather around the 1 meal a day, or the hot drink and occasional sweets at tea time. The very energy of clinging to the felt meaning of getting fed would sometimes send so much energy through the system that to have a peaceful meal, after patiently waiting for everyone to gather, patiently filing through to receive the food, patiently waiting for everyone to get back, then the chanting, then waiting for the senior person to begin eating, was quite an achievement. In fact, the food was nothing special. Sometimes I hardly noticed what it was. Moreover, the degree of satisfaction derived from eating was nothing fantastic, and offset by feeling dull afterwards. The passion was all around the idea, the felt meaning of eating. Both that state and the appealing nature of the food could shift within minutes. Not only was the clinging painful, but on contemplating the whole issue, it was apparent that the intensity was just around the set of feelings and drives that clinging made solid and real, for a while. Clinging was just clinging to its own designations. It was a useful insight to keep working on. Celibacy suddenly made a whole lot more sense. I could experience the same clinging occurring in terms of the second level of clinging, with reference to the rules and customs of the monastery. Everyone uses rules and customs to regulate their lives or occupations. Forms of etiquette, what food to eat at what time, on what day of the week, the way I like my office to be arranged, religious observances, and social taboos. But there's a tendency to go into automatic, or to get dogmatic about one's own system. One feeling I had about committing to Buddhist practice was to get out of this, to be more spontaneous, to live in the here and now. But after about 3 years with nothing to do, nothing to belong to, and therefore nothing to be spontaneous about, I really appreciated things like morning chanting every day, observances around how you handled and washed your alms bowl, and the whole training and conventions that I'd previously missed out on. They helped to keep me focused in daily life and to develop parami. And once I got familiar with them, the rules and customs provided a sense of familiarity, of assurance. It was the same with the system of meditation that I was using. Even if I wasn't always good at it, winning or losing, it defined where I was. I got to feel solid, But then there'd be a strong pull around all that to get even more solid, to be part of a highly disciplined outfit and be someone who could sit like a rock with unwavering mindfulness on breathing. And along with that, there crept in a subtle condescension for people who weren't so solid or couldn't keep up, and an outright dismissal of those in the here and now, types who clearly had no sense for resolution. However, Ajahn Sumedho, the leader of what was supposed to be the crack troop, did from time to time cancel routines, either if he thought people were struggling or just for a break. Sometimes it was just for us to see what our minds did, which was interesting. Then he lessened the intensity of some of the observances. He allowed an early morning mug of porridge because some people weren't so well, and although he sat in meditation a lot, he didn't use much more of a technique than a basic focus on breathing for starters. Generally, the main theme was one of letting go. It was a complete turnaround to my system, so it was very confusing for another 3 years, and 25 years later I'm still working on it. But it was to the point and very direct. Let go of clinging. Yes, you do get to recognize that taking hold of a system, firming up, and getting righteous about it carries the same feel and passion that you can get around a bar of chocolate. It's clinging, and it means you're about to suffer, and probably inflict some suffering on someone else. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu. 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 Thank you for joining me today.